All right, everyone. So this is the video for Lab 3, the Cheeto Calorimetry. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is make the prediction. So the question is, between the tortilla chip and the pistachio, which snack releases more energy than the hot Cheeto? So yes, we have 3 different food items. We have the hot Cheeto, which is our main one that we're going to compare it to. And then we're going to compare it to the tortilla chip and the pistachio. Okay, so in your data table, you are going to see a section where you're going to predict. And that, as you can see the data table right here, analysis questions over here, and your CER, that is where you make the prediction. Okay? So if you need to, pause the video and make the prediction. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with the first procedure. We already have our safety gear on. We've already made the prediction. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure 25 milliliters of water into a graduated cylinder. Okay, so once we've done that, we are going to weigh the empty can, and then we're going to record the mass in the data table. So we're going to come over here. We're going to make sure that our scale is on. Once it is on, we're going to make sure that it's at 0, 0. Okay, so that is, wait, where's the period? Yes, 14.67. And we're going to put that in the hot Cheeto trial. So that's A. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to do is, let's flip this over. We are going to pour the water from the graduated cylinder into the empty soda can. All right, so once we've done that, the next thing that we are going to do is number 6, record the mass of the water and the can. We're going to measure it and then record it into the data table. All right, so it's 36.61. Okay, so after we've done that, we go to step number 7. We're going to set up our ring stand, the glass stir rod and the soda can, as shown over here on the right. So we're going to make sure that the soda can is suspended. And we're also going to make sure that our thermometer is placed inside. All right, so we have our ring stand set up. And now step number 8, we're going to use the digital thermometer to measure the initial temperature of the water in degrees Celsius as accurately as possible. So we're going to record that initial temperature in our data. So we have our lab quest over here. Our thermometer is already inside our can. And it looks like we are at 19.8. We're going to record that in E, initial temperature, 19.8 degrees Celsius. Okay. So next step number 9, we're going to place a hot Cheeto on the support stand. So the support stand is the paper clip and the cork, and we're going to put it inside the evaporating dish. So just like that, and we're going to basically impale the hot Cheeto standing straight up, because that is what gets the best fire. Okay, so now that we have that set up, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to measure the initial mass of this setup, and record it into our data table. So the whole thing we're going to place onto the scale. All right, so it's 46.18, and we're going to record that in section C. Okay, so once we have that, we are now going to place the sample setup underneath the soda can, so it is about 3 to 4 inches, or basically very close to the bottom of the can. And once we do that, we are going to carefully light the hot Cheeto, and what we're going to observe from there is as soon as it stops burning, we're going to measure the highest temperature and then record it into our data table. So that's 3 steps in 1. So we're going to place it underneath our soda can. And then the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to light it on fire. All right, let's try one more time. All right, let's try that one more time. And this is science. There we go, that should be good. All right, so we see that Cheeto burning, and let's see what's happening to the temperature. Okay, so the Cheeto is out. We're gonna see how high this temperature can get. So 26.2, 26.7. All right, we got to 28. We got to 29. We got to 30. All right, 30.3. Are we gonna go any higher? Oh. Okay. Got to 30.4. Oh, 30.5. Okay, we're still getting to 30.6 as soon as it starts coming down. Okay, looks like 30.6 is our highest temperature. All right, so we're going to record that in F, 30.6. And that's in degrees Celsius. And now we're going to measure. So we're going to touch it to see if it's still hot or not. If you were doing it in person, you want to be very careful. Just make sure that the evaporating dish is not hot. And we're going to record the mass or measure the mass and record it in the data table. So let's take the whole setup again. All right, so it's 46.02. And then we're going to record that in section D. All right, so now that we have all of our data, over here is where you make the calculations for your hot Cheetos. So mass of water in grams, what you're going to do is you're going to take B minus A. So that means what we got for B, so 36.61, we're going to subtract it with 14.67. And we'll get the mass of the water here. The mass of the burnt sample, we're going to take D minus C. So 46.02 minus 46.18, right? And so positive is always increase. If it's negative, it just means that we have less mass than before. For the temperature, we're going to take F minus E, right? So we're going to take 30.6 degrees Celsius minus 19.8 degrees Celsius. And we're going to find that delta T right here. And then once you have your all of this information, you're going to put it into your equation. Remember, Q equals mass of the water times C, which remember, C is 1 calorie per gram degree Celsius, and then times delta T. So again, your delta T is from here. And once you have your Q, so remember that's the heat, right? That's the energy absorbed by the water. You're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by the mass of the sample that you got. So that's this one over here. Okay? So if that's a little confusing, go ahead and rewind the video and go through it one more time. So that's the hot Cheeto trial. Now we are going to do the tortilla chip. All right, so we are now on the tortilla chip trial. We're doing the first step, which is measuring the empty can. So that's 13.66. All right, and I think it's okay to just pour in the water to see how much is afterwards. All right, so it's 36.45. Okay, so now the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this up and then take the initial temperature of the water. All right, so let's go ahead and put 20.3 for the initial temperature. And again, that's in degrees Celsius. All right, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to put our chip on our stand and we're going to measure the whole thing, and that's going to be our initial mass. Right, and that's 47.20. All right, so now the last thing that we're going to do is we are going to burn it. So we're going to place it underneath, and then what we're going to do before we burn it is we're going to try to adjust it so that way it can be as close as we can to the can. All right, let's go ahead. All right, so we see the burning and we also see the temperature rise. And that's why we have an evaporating dish to catch any food items that fall. So if y'all don't see that, it's still burning a little bit. And it looks like now it's off. So let's see what temperature we reach. Actually went down. Wait, it's going up. All right. So it looks like we were able to reach 83. All right, as our final temperature. All right, so if we can check to see if it's hot. Okay, and we'll measure the mass. Right, and it's 46.00. Right, and again, the information up here helps you with the calculation over here. If you don't remember what they are, you can go back to where we did the hot Cheeto and where I explained each one of these steps. Okay, so now the last one is going to be the pistachio trial. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is measure the mass of the empty can. All right, so that's going to be 14.67. All right, so now we're going to put the 25 milliliters of water. And measure it again. 36.65 grams. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set that up and take the initial temperature of the water. All right, so the temperature is 20.4 degrees Celsius. So that is the initial temperature. All right, so now we are doing the pistachio, so we're going to measure the setup for the pistachio. We're going to find the initial mass. That is 46.36. All right, so now we are going to adjust it and light it. Ooh, perfect. This one takes a little bit longer. Oh, I think we're good. So we're at 74.8, 75. $75.3. Okay, 75.3 is our highest temperature. Right, and now the last thing that we have to do is our mass, our final mass. All right, 45.95 grams. Okay, so again, over here is all of the information that we got from our lab. And over here, we're going to do our calculations, so it's the same as before. Again, if you can't remember, you can go back to the Cheetos and write down that information. Okay, so from there, you are going to do the analysis questions. And after that, you are going to do the CER. Remember to look at the rubric on Google Classroom and ask your teacher if you have any questions.